Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana state, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a mountain man Scotch ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats.
Watch me do this. It's going to be masterful. I've been waiting for this one my whole life. Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. Welcome back, Bobcat fans. We are the Ryans of the R&R Catcast, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. We are brought to you by Jeremiah Johnson Brewing, brewed in downtown Great Falls, Montana, with a second tap room over in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Thorny, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic. I love your emphasis on the Montana State affiliate. What are we, the dad, Ohio State? Is that where you getting this from?
Absolutely. Exactly. That's what I was about to say. My dad went to Ohio State. It's in my blood.
That went around a little bit, didn't it? On the Bobcat Nation, like 10 years ago or so, people were campaigning to be called the Montana State University. I remember that being a little thing. That. I remember taking the hold in a small amount of the posters anyway.
I just want to make sure people know we are the Montana State affiliate.
The one and only. Until anyone with any talent comes along and takes our spot.
Oh, that's so true. So true.
We're here by default, people.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving us your listens again. We really honestly appreciate that more than you probably know. Well, this episode is going to be all about Montana State basketball. We had 3 games in the tournament that we are going to cover. We'll do a tournament recap, a season in review. We're going to give you a little bit of news that just came out with some players transferring. And of course, we're going to start it off with what we're drinking tonight. Thorny?
I have a Bavik Super Pils, product of Belgium. It is a Belgian beer, a bunch of not English on it. I got it from that Elizabeth Station place where I buy in single cans. Oh man, it's pretty tasty. I love a good Pilsner, and it is a nice flavor on it. 5.2% alcohol. I would definitely drink this again. It's a nice, light, but yet full-bodied Pilsner. Love it.
Nice. I had a good Pilsner last night. I've been kind of migrating back towards like lighter lagers and Pilsners. It's that time of season.
Yes, it is. Well, no, it's stout season. What are you talking about? St. Patrick's Day. Did you have a stout today? You had Mexican food, didn't you? You told me you had Mexican food. I'm going to call you out on this one right here.
I know. I have so much Irish in me as well. Foley came from the name Foley comes from the motherland of Ireland. So I had Mexican food tonight. So no, my wife and I were talking about your photo you posted of, was that corned beef?
Corned beef, yeah. Just classic.
Yeah. No, we're
cabbage,
both not fans.
Carrots, potatoes, the works. Even soda bread.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like you put some effort into it. That's for sure.
Yeah, more effort than ordering Mexican. Did you at least get a potato burrito?
No, I had some carne asada. It was delicious.
Nice. Well, that sounds really good.
Okay. In my golden coolie tonight, I have a Coors Original banquet beer. Tall boy.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
No. It's back in when I first started teaching, I used to I lived in Nampa, Idaho, and I remember I used to go. I would my thing at night would be I would go over to there was a local coffee house. I didn't have internet. I didn't have a smartphone. This was 2006, I think. And so I would go over to like a local coffee house to grade my papers, and mainly to see people because I was so stinking lonely. And so I would go have like a cup of coffee, and then I would come home and I would like listen to music. And I remember I always would drink Coors, not like every night, but I would mainly have Coors Original in my fridge. And so it was like the balance of uppers and downers before I'd go to bed. And so it kind of reminded me of when I was a young lad, young professional, right when I was starting out. It's really good.
Coors Banquet always reminds me of Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Coors, the banquet beer. I can't do a good Sam Elliott voice, but you know what I'm talking about. Nobody can do a Sam Elliott voice. That's why he gets paid to do voice work. But yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
There you go.
You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
Yeah, I do. But I don't know if I really want to talk about it.
Fair enough. Let's move on.
Let's get into the news. Why don't you break down the recent news for us?
So in the last day, I guess, at this point, we're recording this on Wednesday, Mike Hood and Caleb Belich have both entered the transfer portal. It has also been confirmed by Skyline that, I guess, Amin Adamu and Xavier Bishop are both staying on for another year, even though they're both seniors. So I'm sure that had something to do with Mike Hood and Caleb looking for options elsewhere, but those two players will no longer be a part of the Bobcat program moving forward. So there's the news on the player front. No other transfers as of right now.
Well, some other notables, Devin Kirby and Abdul Mohammed, both were seniors and are opting to leave the program, at least right now. So, and that was just basically on Twitter. They had put out kind of their thanks after the season ending, and so they're just connecting the dots essentially on that.
Well, let's definitely give a round of applause to the two seniors that are, for now, like you said, leaving the program. This year would not have been possible without Abdul Mohammed. He came on super strong during the stretch and had a great tournament run. And, you know, the same could be said for Devin Kirby. He really came on. He kind of got on the bench in the first half of the year and is basically Bello's backup, but he took on a much bigger role in the last several games of the season and kind of started alongside Bello. So, yeah, you know, kudos to the two seniors for having a good senior campaign, and thanks for being Bobcats.
Absolutely. Right on. Well, let's get right into the Big Sky tournament and how the Bobcats did in that tournament.
All right, man. The Bobcats had a great tournament. I think everyone should obviously know by now, but the Bobcats were the 5th seed, taking on number 4 seed Idaho State on Thursday.
Yeah, it was Thursday.
Okay. Thursday took care of business, 71-63, advancing on to face number 1 seed Southern Utah, who took care of business against Northern Colorado. Kind of blew them out of the water after Northern Colorado had a pretty strong showing in their first game. Cats big underdogs heading into this one, beating Southern Utah 80-77 in overtime, earning themselves a championship bid for the first time since 2009, where the Bobcats would fall to Portland State in Ogden, I want to say, back when the tournaments were held at the whoever won the regular season titles site. And I think we beat Weber State that year, so it's just us and Portland State in Weber's Arena. Going off a tangent here, so he ended up playing against Eastern Washington in the championship game, and ended up losing that one 65-55. Man, it was a good tournament. It was a good run. So before we kind of even get into any of the breakdowns, talking about any of the games, what were your expectations just heading into this tournament? Where did you think the Bobcats could eventually land? Like where do you think we could go?
Honestly, Ryan, I thought we were going to lose the first game. That's just because of our record in the previous couple of tournaments. And so going into playing Idaho State 4-5 matchup, I wasn't really looking forward to that. Although it was a pleasant surprise. Idaho State had. I mean, we recapped Idaho State. I believe. I think we had an episode.
Yeah, we did the live broadcast of it. So there's not a podcast out there. You can go on Twitter and probably still listen to the live broadcast, quick reaction recap of that. If you want to, you can find that on our cast on our Twitter. But yes, we did do a little bit of a recap of that one. Forgot about that. I was
wondering why I felt familiar.
Yeah. It's like, wait, yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, I mean, I kind of echoed the thoughts I put out there. Is I didn't think we would win, but it kind of felt like when we did win, I remember texting you that this could be kind of a landfall moment for us where it could just open up some momentum and kind of maybe just get some old demons off our back or of those early losses in the tournament. So I was really happy going into this. After winning this game, like I said, I didn't feel like we were going to do well. And then Friday came along when we played Southern Utah, and I just got blown out of the water. So before we get into that, what were your kind of thoughts going into the tournament?
Well, I'm going to say two things here. Number one, you remember how positive I was on our podcast leading into the tournament?
Yeah,
I was super positive.
A lot. That's pretty contrived.
It was all bravado. Yes, there was none of that was real. But I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here for willing the Bobcats to the championship game. It's all about positivity, man. Positivity out in the world, it comes back or something. I don't know. I'm not Buddhist. But anyway, I honestly kind of expected the Bobcats to lose the first round game.
Yeah.
I said so much in our Twitter group with the Big Sky Network. I was like, they're asking us who you got tonight. I'm like, you know what? If I'm a betting man, I'm probably going to bet on the Bengals. Like, it's just history says one thing, and that's just been the case. Obviously, we've won one tournament game like this decade. So, and every team goes every year since 2016. I don't even know, but we've had plenty of chances to win one. We only won one with Tyler Hall and Kelvin Blevins and Harold Frey. So I was not too hopeful with the way we slid into the tournament as usual, but yeah, pleasantly surprised. But yeah, I was not expecting a whole lot. I know you and I talked about it being a better side of the bracket for the Bobcats, but I didn't even think that would matter. I didn't even think we would get to the point to enjoy the potential of the upset of the quote number one seed, Southern Utah that everyone was high on.
Yeah. The way the Bobcats finished, you totally erased how I felt about February.
Yeah, we need to get into that after we discuss this because, yeah, when we get this into the season recap, like, does it change your entire feeling on the season? And I believe it absolutely does as well.
Yeah.
But all right, so the Bobcats, let's keep going here. I guess we beat Idaho State in a physical brutish game Thursday, 71-63. Then the upset of the tournament. We took on Southern Utah, and man, that was a fun game to watch. Did you get to catch much of that game?
Most of it, yeah.
That was a scrappy game.
As you know, kind of a fun story we'll talk about it a little bit is I had to leave for running club, and I hold my running clubs dear to my heart, so I knew I was going to have to keep on my phone essentially what was going on. I parked my car, paid for parking in downtown Spokane, which is just a cluster. But right when I got back to my car, I checked my phone, and we hit the shot to go into overtime. I was like, damn it. Oh, I was happy, but I was like, man, now I got to run with my phone in my hand. And so it just led to like kind of a fun run through there. But yeah, go ahead and talk about.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I was kind of like texting you updates like, oh my gosh, we made the shot and like all these things. And
well, Thorny, hold on just real quick. So I'm running through this trail and we're going kind of by the Doomsday Hill. I was like, all right, I actually had you on speaker and I was like, tell me what's going on right now because ESPN was going in and out and, I can't see what was going on. And so you're telling me and you're like, okay, we're bringing it down court. Oh no, he launches three in and out. Oh, we won. And you and I just started cheering and I scared probably 4 people next to me. And then for like everybody that went past me thereafter, I just pretty much yelled, "Go Cats!"
And like,
my friend was just like shaking his head. Yeah, he's like, he just kept smiling. He's kind of a quiet guy. And he was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then later on that day or later on that night, he was like, man, I was having trouble keeping up with you. I was just going on pure adrenaline. I was just busting out like 6-minute miles. It was great.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy end of the game. I do want to talk a little bit about this one. I know we didn't want to go too in depth with anything, but yeah, it was really fun texting you and chatting there at the very end of the game. But man, the Bobcats did some of the things that we specifically mentioned going into the tournament, that if the Cats could clean up, we would have a chance to do some damage. There was no big, long scoring droughts in this one. Adamu had 29 points. Like, one of the things that we talked about was like other guys needing to step up.
Mhm.
And, we took care of the ball a lot better in this game. Or at least it was, it was even. It was 11-11 in the turnover battle. So Cats did a lot of things that we talked about that they're capable of doing, and they put one together, and they upset Southern Utah on an amazing last-second regulation shot where, honestly, we kind of got bailed out. Bishop was trying to make something happen. Couldn't do it, just kind of dumped it to Bello at the last second, and Bello just turns and flips it up, and it rolls it around and goes in. And Bello just turns around and does a little fist bump, like, yeah, I know. I knew that was going in. Like, just kind of this calm celebration. I love it. He was just like, all right, we got another chance at this. Let's go. And then, overtime was super exciting. And yeah, the last second shot by Southern Utah was guarded relatively well, but he got a decent look at it, and it went in and out. It was halfway down, bounced out. Oh, that was exciting stuff, man. That was the most exciting Bobcat basketball game I can even remember watching since probably 2009, the tournament, because that was a very exciting championship game back then too. But yeah, this was exciting basketball, man. It's fun to watch some exciting Bobcat basketball.
It's crazy looking at our 3-pointers. We hit 7 of them. Southern Utah hit 11. That's like unreal. They made 11 3-pointers, and we hit 7. I think in the Idaho game, I don't think I know. We only hit 1, and in the game against Eastern, we only hit 2. And honestly, I mean, that's a large discrepancy right there. So,
yeah, but that's actually was part of the game plan for Southern Utah. We basically packed it in and said, shoot some 3-pointers, beat us with 3-pointers, and it worked. Southern Utah
25
had plenty of looks. Like, honestly, the defense was there for the Bobcats, but they had plenty of good looks, and they missed some wide open shots in this game. But we also took them out of their rhythm. Like, that's a big part of college basketball. I don't think a lot of people realize is just because the guys are getting wide open shots doesn't mean you've taken them out of what they're normally supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's
Bobcats
like, I'm sometimes like being open is messing with your mind. Like, why am I open? And then you overthink it and you miss a shot. So these things can happen. And it was all part of the plan, and it just happened to work out in Sprinkle's favor there.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching a replay of the overtime. Southern Utah missed some shots in there that could have went their way as well. And so Montana State definitely was hustling and altering those shots, but maybe a little luck on Montana State's side for sure. But they earned that one.
Well, this is the
doubt.
game that Bello ended up with. Is it 8 blocks in this game?
He had something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was 8 blocks. Here we go. Yeah, he had 8 rebounds, 8 blocks, only 2 fouls. They let them play in this game, or Bello was smart and stayed out of foul trouble, one of the two. But again, I don't think I've ever seen Bello have more than like 2 or 3 blocks in a game, just because that usually gets whistled for that kind of stuff. So I don't know what was going on there. I'm happy that they kind of let things go there, and that's why it was a fun game to watch. It was a back and forth, and both teams were making plays, both on offense and defense. And, I give Bello probably the MVP right there with the 8 blocks and that last second shot. Well, I don't know. It's hard to not give Adamu that as well with 29 points, but Bello had 22 himself. But yeah, what a great game, and what a just fun basketball game to watch as a Bobcat fan.
Well, one thing we talked about was a little bit about being clutch and how we hadn't been clutch going into the tournament. Adamu gets the steal right after Bello has that clutch block. I mean, like he blocks one of the second to last shot, and then things happen, and then we have another turnover for Adamu picks off the inbound pass. Those are really clutch plays. So that's we hit some clutch plays there, which was really cool.
Yeah, something we haven't seen too much of the Cats in a while, and yeah, great to see both offensive and defensive clutch plays rising to the occasion.
Okay.
Oh, man, I'm just still kind of like it's Wednesday. It's been a while since this game happened, and we were going to record on Monday, and it just didn't happen. And now I'm starting to like just think back and like, yeah, it was just so fun. That's what we are, man. We're a fan podcast, and I'm just getting excited thinking about it because I'm a huge Bobcat fan.
I just wish we could have hit some threes, or not threes, excuse me, our free throws in overtime. It didn't have to be that close.
It's true. Yeah, we were 76% for the game, but yeah, if you in overtime, if you miss one, it's pretty glaring.
Yeah, and I think we missed 2 or 3 in overtime.
Man, Southern Utah only shot 10 free throws. That's got to be like a season low for an opponent against the Bobcats. I'd have to research that, but yeah, just 10. That's crazy.
It is upsetting that neither of these teams get to go to play the NIT, especially Southern Utah. They only lost 4 games all year. It's ridiculous.
I don't think the Cats would get an invite. Typically, like we had an upset run, but we're 13-9, 8-6. Yeah. It's not really a secondary tournament. I guess there's a couple of tournaments, but yeah, kind of a bummer. Southern Utah deserves to go into NIT or something like that for sure.
All right, well, let's move on to the last game against Eastern.
Oh, the championship.
Neither you and I could watch this game because neither you and I had ESPNU. I tried a couple different ways to get it. I just couldn't do it, so I had to watch it just via like score updates on the ESPN app.
Well, I was able to watch it. I was just on a date night with my wife.
That's right.
I had ESPNU. That was not the problem.
Okay.
But I was able to sneak in some moments here and there, and I actually ended up watching it I missed about the last 10 minutes, and I was able to watch the replay. The replay is on the ESPN app if you have ESPNU, so I was able to watch kind of the replay of it, but yeah, not an ideal situation for watching a basketball game, but you make plans ahead of time, not really not even thinking that is championship Saturday, let alone that the Bobcats might be playing in it. It gets so far out of my mind that would have been a day to not have a date night. It didn't even cross my mind.
Well, this one did not start off well. I mean, it's pretty much the worst start we could have had. We were down 20 points, probably 5-10 minutes into the game easily. So, well, like always, Eastern just comes blazing out, and they were just on fire. They just buried the Bobcats from the start, and honestly, the Bobcats could never catch up after that. Credit to the Bobcats, though. They did not give up, and they've clawed their way back to a 9-point deficit. And had they had a couple of three-pointers drop, they only had 2 for 17. I think we hit our first 3 probably second half, if I'm not remembering that right, but 2 for 17 from beyond the arc. Man, we lose by 10. If we could have at least got it down to maybe like a 6-point margin, I think that could have like we could have held there. We could have had that same momentum like we did in the Southern Utah game where we could have had a chance, but we could never get it closer than 9.
No, and I'm very proud of the Bobcats for fighting back in this game. You could tell that the tired legs thing was really getting to the Cats here.
Yeah,
came out, and a lot of the shots were short, which is always a pretty obvious indicator of tired legs. You're just not getting the lift and the distance on the shots that you want. But, the Bobcats really played intense defense in this game, and Eastern was actually 4 for 18 for 22% from downtown. So something that is pretty rare in Eagle territory there. So we held them to really low 3-point shooting percentage, and the Bobcats defense kept them in the game. But like you said, we could just never get those 3-pointers to drop when we needed them at any point in that second half when we were mounting that comeback. Just a couple more threes, and could have a different story here. The momentum would have changed, but we just never could put the dagger in.
Eastern deserved to win the tournament. They were my number 1 team. I just thought all season watching them, I get to watch them because I live over here in Spokane. They were just on a different level. They seemed like they had just too many good scores in too many positions.
Well, the chemistry is off the charts for Eastern.
Yeah,
they really play well together, and they don't get enough credit for how good they are defensively, and their bigs inside are good at blocking the ball and clogging up the lane. And I thought by far and away they were the best team. And in that regard, this game was fun to watch the expectations going into it, because I had very little expectations that we would win. And I was happy to, like, already we kind of exceeded my expectations for the season. We made it to the championship game. I'm on cloud nine. And that's where expectations align and where you're supposed to be. Like, our expectations as football fans now have been elevated in the last few years. Like this would be, a Big Sky championship game or a first round playoff game. That's like nothing anymore. But 6 years ago, even 10 years ago, whatever, like that was over the moon. So here we are, right here, championship game. Like, man, if we lose, I'm not going to be upset whatsoever. If we win, I'm going to be just whoa. But it's a lot funner to go into a basketball game with that kind of mentality. But yeah, I think Eastern definitely was the best team in the conference, and they deserve the win. And I kind of might actually root for them. I typically do root for the Big Sky teams in the tournament, because I always want to see the conference do well and have a good national presence.
Yeah, I'm going to root for them. They're going to play the Jayhawks. Just a kind of a closing. No, I go back and forth. I actually was a Kansas fan growing up, and it's just because I think I had a Nike T-shirt of them. My mom bought me, and so I was just like, okay, cool. I guess they're a team I'll root for, right? Because you got some clothes of them, so whatever. But I was gonna make a quick point there. I was listening to a Culture show today, ESPN 1029, Missoula. New on is now, and they played a snippet of the roundtable with Danny Sprinkle, and one thing that's kind of stuck out to me when I was listening to Danny was he kind of said, he was like, yeah, I'm not happy. And Coach was like, well, that's good. I mean, not being satisfied is going to spur you. It would be easy for Danny to say, yeah, I'm pretty stoked. We made a championship game. Maybe didn't expect to do that, but that's not the way Danny Sprinkle's feeling. He's like, yeah, that's where we should be. We need to win that game. So that gives me that gives me a lot of hope going forward, actually.
I'm glad you remembered to bring that up, because I did hear that quote as well. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, and he also said something along the lines like, I wasn't hired to go to the semifinal. Yeah. He said that before the Southern Utah game, I believe. So yeah, I love that he just put out those kinds of statements, that he's putting out there that these are the expectations. He's laying the expectations in the media, and I'm on board. I'm really hopeful to see the Bobcat basketball take another step, which at this point needs to be baby steps, but there is plenty of room to go up.
So let's put the season in the rear view, and let's reflect on it just a little bit. So Montana State ended fourth in the league with the 8-6 record in the conference, 13-10 overall. Going into the season,
to finish fourth?
By some. I think by Coulter and Gus, when Gus was still around, I think they picked Montana State to be fourth. The top was pretty stratified, right? I mean, you knew Weber State, Eastern Washington, and Southern Utah was going to be in the mix. They thought Montana was going to be up there. Montana State, I think most, not most, but Montana State was all over the board. I remember some had us pretty low, kind of like maybe like 8th or somewhere down there. So
it's hard when you get like some new transfers and you're losing some guys. Like, it would have been hard to make sense of what the Bobcats were going to be before this year began. I could have seen a case from anywhere from like 4th to 8th myself. Yeah.
Some were stuck in the middle. So all in all, Montana State, I mean, like I said, the tournament run pretty much erased February for me and gave me a much more positive taste. And going forward, finishing 4th in the conference is pretty good for Montana State.
I mean, I feel a lot better than I did after losing to Idaho, tell you that much.
Yeah,
I mean,
was a low point.
The season played out up until the tournament run played out the same way every other season has played for the Bobcats seemingly forever. Yeah. Start off hot, fade fast, back into the tournament, lose a tournament game, maybe you win one tournament game, but that's it. You're done. We just always finish weak, and it was so refreshing to see us finish strong, even though the regular season didn't necessarily finish strong. I guess we won 2 or 3 if you count the second Idaho win and then split it with Sac, but we still came into the tournament on a loss. We lost that heartbreaker, crazy game to Sac State in the final game of the regular season. So a lot of that is just kind of, I guess that's part of the reason I didn't have very high expectations heading into the tournament, is because it just felt like Bobcat basketball. Like the way it always has for like the last 15, 20 years. You're just like, all right, well, here we go. Here it comes again. Now, if Sprinkle is the kind of guy who can elevate his team in the big playoff moment type games, that's going to be something to work from right there. And this is a great momentum builder, a great building point to move forward into the next season. So I am excited about it, and it definitely erased any bad tastes I had in my mouth from the regular season. Right now, I'm totally happy about it. I'm sure if you thought about it more critically, maybe putting too much emphasis on this magic run we had there, maybe it was just a flash in the pan, but I definitely feel like the way the team was playing, that it could be definitely a stepping stone or a turning point, and hopefully carries over to next year.
Ironically, the only team we missed playing was the Grizzlies,
which I think we could have beat them this year. Of course, I said that we said that at one point, and then we lost to Idaho. So who knows what would have happened if we played the Grizz during the regular season.
Depending on what time when we were supposed to play Montana. The time we were supposed to play them, we were playing pretty good ball, and Montana was not. All right, Thorny, I do got a question for you. So next year we're going to get back Xavier, we're going to get back Bello, we're going to have Amin coming back. So those are our top three. I call him Amin.
You did last podcast episode. I wish I would have corrected you. I'm going to do it now. It's Amin Adamu.
Yes. All right. What does Montana State need to complement those three?
Man, I think we need a really solid, like a 4. Mohammed was great, and he finally turned it on in the tournament and kind of came the player that I think we had kind of wanted him to be all season. Like, there's the aggressiveness, there's the looking to the score, there's the guy who's getting the team fired up. Like, he took that role, and so we need someone to kind of come in with some length there, and who can kind of play tough and kind of be scrappy and get those tough rebounds, but also, can score at times. We need more consistency from the three guys. I know you're talking about complementary players, but we just need a guy who can also consistently hit 3-pointers, but who can do more than just hit 3-pointers. And I think Tyler Patterson could possibly develop into that kind of player. He was very much that's what he did this year, is shoot 3-pointers, but he's capable of more, and I expect more out of him. But I would say those are the two biggest pieces right there, is a 3-point shooter and just some guy who can kind of get scrappy and get some rebounds and complement the other three guys who are all capable of scoring.
Well said.
How about you? What are your thoughts? You just agree 100%? Nothing else to say?
Pretty much. I was just thinking about the 4s. That 4 has to be kind of a dog kind of guy. He's a guy who's just willing to do the dirty work. Maybe he's pesky on defense. Guy that just hustles after rebounds and makes a momentum swinging type of plays. He's not going to be the guy that we need to rely on scoring, but needs to be a guy like a hype guy as well. So we need that kind of glue guy that's just all about the team, all about Montana State. And if we can get that kind of guy, I think Montana State's will maybe win the championship next year. We just need a couple of those guys. And like you said, I do believe we also need maybe one or two scorers from the outside that we could always rely on, like a Michael Meadows for Eastern Washington, or Kim Aiken, one of those guys.
I also think we just need to develop the bench more, just get better depth. Mm-hmm. I really liked what I saw of Kellen Tynes down the stretch, so I think he's going to be a good player for us. I think he's probably going to spell Bishop. I think he played alongside Bishop sometimes too, but he's kind of a true kind of a point guard, but a really good defending point guard too. So he's got some good size. So I think he's going to be going for the Cats. I'm just excited. I think there's some good foundations there. I am curious to see how we replace Mohammed, but other than that, I think we'll be okay.
Well, one guy who is on our team who has a length is Bilal Shabazz.
Yeah, he didn't play very much this year.
No.
Is he a junior? I should probably pull up the roster here too. While we're
let's take a
we don't really. I wasn't really planning on talking about next year too much, so let's go ahead and take a peek while we're looking at the bench. Jesse Owens, that's right, redshirt freshman from Billings.
Yeah, so Belil is a junior.
So he'll be a junior again. I guess I was gonna say he'll be a senior, but no, he'll be a. I don't know how that works exactly.
Exactly.
Will he be a senior, but with the same amount of eligibility? Like, who's going to tally all this? Man, that's going to be confusing. And we got, I don't know what we got coming in for recruits. I can't remember, but we got. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, we'll probably have to bring in another player or two if the freshmen don't pan out. We might need to bring another transfer in, but I think the Cats have a good foundation right now.
Yeah, I see a lot of up and coming stars. I like Gonzalez as a shooter.
It's good to see him get his touch kind of back there, make a few threes when it mattered in the tournament there.
Do have some length on the bench. They did not get a lot of time. Finn Flute, Belil.
I liked his game when he got in there. I think he's going to be a good player for the Cats.
Patterson started off like a rocket and faded late, so he's going to have to regain some confidence. But yeah, Borja. Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship with him with some guys in our group.
He had a really solid. I can't remember which game it was. It might have been the Southern Utah game, but he played really well. One of those games where we're talking about like the 4 guy who needs to come in there and just do the dirty work. Like he could actually probably fulfill that role if we don't ask too much out of him from the scoring side. He's a good defender. He's a good rebounder. He just he makes some turnover prone mistakes on the offensive side of the ball, but I think he can, as a guy who could develop into that kind of role.
Yeah.
He's a banger.
He's a team guy. He's a glue guy. You got to have him on.
Yeah.
All right, Tony. I think we're good, dude.
I want to ask you though, what do you think of Danny Sprinkle after year 2? Where do you stand with Sprinkle?
I like him a lot right now. In February, I didn't like Danny Sprinkle a lot, but right now I like him a lot. But if I take kind of the emotion out of it, just the fact that the Cats had momentum in the tournament makes him more attractive in my mind. I mean, we were such a dead fish. No pun intended to Coach Fish, but
I was like, "Why are you laughing?" Then, okay.
It was the men's basketball has just been maddening. Like you said, it's been like the same story for so long, and just like when it ended, when we would just like kill ourselves in February and just lose horribly in a tournament, it was such a frustrating ending. You're like, it was so unsatisfying. It was like, what do you even try to hang your hat on? We're going to do the next thing, or we're going to do the same thing next year, probably. And we always get excited because the Cats start off fast. But still, this feels different. So long story short, I think Danny Sprinkle is the right guy for the job. It's only year 2 for him. He didn't even get to play in the tournament last year. And by all accounts, Montana State had some momentum going to the tournament last year. To me, Danny Sprinkle seems like kind of the guy that he's made for the big moment. When you watched him as a player, he was. And I think he has that same mentality. And I think that's just kind of infectious. That's going to be kind of the culture of this team. We're made for the big moment. But you kind of have to learn how to be like that. I don't think that just happens right away. I think that's something you learn. And in going through what we just did, getting to the championship game, that's what you have to go through. And now these guys, they know that that's going to be there. It's going to be in their DNA now. So I'm talking myself into Danny Sprinkle. I kind of like Danny Sprinkle right now.
Yeah, you're talking about kind of learning that mentality. I think Sprinkle had to learn how to teach that mentality because I believe he does possess it. Obviously, like you said, as a player, and it looks like you might have it as a coach here. And so he's got to just kind of learn how to kind of change the culture of the Montana State program. And another first time head coach, right? This is his first gig.
Yeah, as a head coach.
So, he's going to be learning as he goes too. And he's going to learn what it takes to play a full season in the Big Sky and win that second half of the season. And I think he's capable of doing it. And I'm certainly willing to give him time because, there's no point in getting a guy into Montana State and then firing him after 4 years for going 500. Especially if he's able to win some games in the tournament. That's really what can separate himself, even if he goes, I don't remember how many games are in a regular season. Like if he goes 10-8 or whatever during a regular season, I think winning a tournament game is really where it's going to separate himself, and hopefully the other wins start coming after that.
I agree with that.
All right, man. Well, anything else you want to say on this 2021 season?
No, not at the moment. I'm sure there will be some things that will come across my mind, but I'm proud of the Cats. We finished strong, and with that just gives me a lot of hope going into next year.
All right, Bobcat fans. Well, thanks again for listening. Appreciate it. We appreciate that. Like Foley said, probably more than we can even say here. You can always find us on Twitter, RRCatcast. Always find us on the website, rrcatcast.com. You can always email us at rrcatcast@gmail.com. Thanks again to Jeremiah Johnson for being our sponsor for the year. And let's put a cap on this basketball season with the one last Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
All right. I got places to be.